In this video, I will show you a more advanced way how to texture an object, here in our case, the woodlegs. And the process I will show you is called PBR, physically based rendering texturing. So what this basically means is we will have for these individual channels like base, color, roughness, and normal, handcrafted images to use. So how do these look? Let's go to image viewer, open, textures. There's the veneer set. And here we have a set of those images which we can use for a PBR texturing workflow. As you can see, this is for color. Then this is for displacement. Displacement is actually similar to bump mapping. However, bump mapping only gives you the illusion of a three-dimensional structure. Displacement really can change the actual geometry during render time. So it really is three-dimensional. The normal map is actually a more advanced version of the bump mapping, and we'll talk about the difference here in a moment too. And then here we have specularity. Let me move this to here. So specularity would go into the specular channel. And that is then actually the PBR specular workflow. What does this mean? The specularity workflow is designed for artists who create 3D geometry, which then is going to be used inside game engines. Because I have to texture everything in a way so it looks good inside the game engine. What we are going to use, they call it the metallic workflow. And we will use the specular inside the roughness. So odd names, but essentially now when you see something specularity, we can use this inside the roughness, even while other people would use this in the specular channel. Okay, so let's give this a try. Here we open this image just so you can see where it is. Then we go here, open texture, and there is that image. And we plug this in there. And let's take a look at how this looks. Very good. Okay, so we now gave this object the color, but now we want to work on how is the finish. With the roughness, with the specularity slider, we can simply define how glossy is the surface, but we want to adjust how rough is it, because there will be changes to it. So again, add image texture, put this to here, open, and then we will use this specular map. And you see that actually here it says non-color. Here it says RGB. Let me quickly explain what this means so you understand it, because it's an important element to keep in mind. RGB, now red, green, and blue, is for displaying color. This is what we want to do for, well, the color, the texture. Roughness, however, is not colored. Roughness is more a state. Think about yes or not. Now, you're rough or you're not rough. You're smooth or you're rough. So we want to have a more, yes and no data. And this is basically what this non-color basically will deliver. Even while this is actually a grayscale image now, but think about it, the grayscale also, it's more, it's a value from 0 to 1 because it's either black or it goes over to white. There's no red, green, and blue in there. So, and then with this roughness slider, with this rough specular image put into the roughness slider, you see how the reflectivity is kind of dull, huh? Can take this off. There you can see how there are some really bright parts, and in between it's actually more rough. So very nice. Now let's actually take this and turn this into sRGB. There you see how this looks very, very different. So technically speaking, this is actually incorrect. This is more correct because this uses the image the way how it should be displayed. But I don't want you to be too technical about everything. At the end, everything what we do is just, it has to look good. How we get to there is really up to us to decide. A client never really will later see this, but these tools help us simply to maintain a consistency and a good look. So let's go to the bump mapping. So here we have the normal map, and as you can see, it has various colors. Let me here go back to this plastic normal map one time so I can better show this. You see, this is actually not a grayscale image. This has 3 colors. And these 3 colors, think about them as X, Y, and Z. So they are directional. Bump mapping either creates a shadow or a highlight. And this way it gives you the illusion of, well, a hill or a valley. And this basically, if we want to say it this way, it goes along the z-axis only, so up or down. Normal mapping actually can create an illusion more that looks three-dimensional. So it's a better bump mapping if we want to see it this way. This is also very easy to add. So here, texture, image, open, there is that thing. Also here you see this jumps over to non-color. And then we will go, this is important, vector and not bump. Well, we will actually use normal map. Color to here, this to there. 0.1. It can help to turn this off for the moment, so we can just take a look at how reflective is that surface and how are the scratches. Yeah, and then there you can see, there it is inside. When we add a little bit of roughness, yeah, there we can see that. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. And then with the strength here, we can adjust how strong do we want this effect actually to work. Just for giggles, let's put this sRGB. Yeah, and there you see the software gets totally confused. Now the result doesn't look good because it's the information isn't correctly understood. So again, for specular and the bump mapping actually too, and the normal map, here all non-color. sRGB that we should only use for truly for the base color. That's kind of like a rule of thumb. Very easy rule to remember. Yeah, and there we are. And actually it doesn't look not too bad. The only, obviously, the downside of this process in this case is now, well, I have no control really about the roughness besides using this image. So what's inside this image, that is it. Which is why sometimes I don't use actually these maps. I then actually, while it is not, again, the best way to do, but I could convert this into a grayscale if I want to, and then put this into a color ramp there, and then I plug this one in there. Very good. Let's hide this for the moment, and then maybe I can try and play with this until I find something that actually might look good. Because you can see how much more control I can have. But I'm very much a victim to only what through this processing a look I can achieve. And so either I do it this way. Now here You can actually, this looks pretty worn right now. Like you see these elements really here are very glossy, and then the rest is very rough. Or I use it this way. Now it's a more very matte finish. Okay, very good. Again, what I wanted to point out to make clear is these are just only tools. This is not a dogma. You really can use whatever you want. Just some methods are more effective, some methods are less, some methods are more restrictive, some are more free, some are easier, some are more labor intensive. Okay, that's it.